We are here to learn HTML, JavaScript, we'll learn jQuery and the CSS. So this is our objective of what this sessions are. The HTML. If we basically talk about the HTML, what is HTML? What do you understand by HTML? HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and it is one of the standards. It is one of the standards for documenting the design to be displayed to a web browser. Let's say you're basically doing the programming of it's an design based programming. So basically, if we talk about HTML is used to create the web pages, right? Gaurav, it's correct. It is used to create the static web pages, I can say. It is used to create a static web pages. It is designed for the front end. So hypertext markup language is the standard. So it's the standard markup language for document designed to be displayed in a web browser. It is a structure of web pages. I can write it. It is a structure of web pages. All right. So HTML, if we talk about HTML basically stands for hypertext markup language. So everyone, I can say it is a standard, or you can say it is the standard. It is the standard for markup language you can say for documents, markup language for documents to be displayed in web browser. To be displayed in web browser. Understand? So I can say who created HTML? Who created HTML? It's in W3C. It's in W3C. So if I write who created HTML, who created HTML, its an answer is W3C. W3C. All right. So answer is W3C. It's a World Web Web Consortium. So basically, all of you have to understand. If I talk about HTML, HTML is one of the learning platform for creating the web pages in a web browser. It is creating the structure of web pages. When you it is a markup language for document to be displayed. It is an right. So basically, you can say who created HTML? It's in W3C. Who created HTML? It's in W3C. If you talk about, I can say it's a markup language. It's a markup language. It's a markup language. And when you write HTML, all of you, when you write an HTML, the extension of HTML, if you talk about the extension of HTML, that is called STM, or you can say .html, right? If we talk about the extension of HTML, you can say .stm, or you can say .html, right? You can say .html. So everyone, if we talk about, let's say I'm just giving you one very basic example so that you can able to understand. When you write an HTML, you have to use an HTML tag. You have to use an HTML tag. We are saying if you talk about HTML, we are using the HTML tag, then I can close the HTML. If you open the HTML, then you have to close the HTML. If you open the HTML, then you have to close the HTML, right? Yes, that is different. The HTML is different. So when you open the HTML, you have to close the HTML. And under the HTML, everyone under the HTML, you have the head tag. Head tag. Under a head tag, then you have to close this head tag. You have to close this head tag. Under the head tag, you can put your title tag. You can put your title tag. And under a title tag, you can create, you can basically close your title tag. And here you can say my first web app, right? My first web app. You can say my first web app. They'll understand. Then I'm basically defining the body. I will defining the body after head tag. I will basically defining the body, right? After the head tag, I will defining the body, right? And after body, I just need to close it. And here I can define, we have this one tag that is called h1 to h6. H1 to h6, that is called header tags. H1, it's more, you can say it's a more bigger tag, it's a header tag, right? So this is an heading tag. I can say this is an heading tag. So let's say this is heading tag, heading h1. This is heading h1. Let me copy this. P1 is paragraph tag, right? So 3, 4, 5, 6. So I just copy those 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here you can close 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, all of you, if you want to create a program, you can use Visual Studio Code, or you can directly use Notepad editor, or you can use the Notepad. But if it is a good practice, if you use the Visual Studio Code, it's a free open source. It's an open source. So Visual Studio Code, how you can open that Visual Studio Code? Let me show you. Let's say I'm just creating one folder, MD training. I'm creating the folder, then CD create training folder, and then do the code dot. Code dot is the shortcut syntax to opening the Visual Studio Code. Code dot is to open the Visual Studio Code, right? So I will basically copy this code, and I will just show you how we can open and how we can work on the Visual Studio editor. It's a Visual Studio Code. It's an open source. It's an open source. It's a freeware, right? So what we are learning, I just told you what exactly the HTML is. HTML is basically used to create an web pages. I can say rather than created a web pages, I can say it is used to create the static web pages. That is used to create a static web pages. So it's an hypertext markup language, the extension of this. If you talk about HTML, it is an .html. I can say, you can say this first app.html. So I'm just copy and paste. I'm just copy and paste here so that you can able to understand. I can format my document also. You can see I am now with where this in folder. I just going there. I'm just going there into the D drive. JTC folder, and you can see it is in first app is created. And when you click, all of you, when you click here, you can see this. See this. This is horizontal. All the tags are. It's in H1. Then it's in S2. Let me correct. Let me correct it. It's an S2 tag. It's an S3 tag. It's an H4 tag. It's an H5 tag. It's an H6 tag. Save it and now refresh the screen. See this. This is called heading tags. This is called heading tags. Now, if you want, if you want in this body, you can put your HR tag, you can put your BR tag, you can put bold tag, you can put italic tag, you can put underline tag. Whatever tags you are using in the HTML, you can put it. Understand? So let's say if I want to put horizontal, horizontal means I'm just creating a horizontal line. Just save it and see this. See this, it is creating a horizontal line. And all of you, believe me, believe me, if you learn HTML, then you can learn any language. You can learn any web application. So basically, I can say if you talk about HTML, if you basically talk about the HTML, I can say HTML is a structure of web pages. HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. HTML describes the structure of a web page. HTML basically, I can say this. HTML describes the structure of a web page. Web pages. I can say HTML basically consists of series of elements. This is called a series of elements. HTML head, title, then H1, H2, H3, H4. It is called a series of elements. It is called a series of element. So HTML basically, I can say HTML consists of a series of elements, right? So basically, I can say HTML elements tell the browser how to display the elements. If you talk about HTML, all of you, HTML basically HTML elements. Let's say if you talk about HTML head title, they tell the browser how to display your elements. If I will write the H1, it is basically showing the header tag. If I write the BR, it is breaking the line. If I writing the HR, it is making a horizontal line. So basically, if we talk about HTML elements, tell the browser, it basically tell the browser how to display the element, how to display the elements. Understand? Any question till now? My already I have a full screen font size is 24. So sir, DocType is also for browser. Yes, DocType is also for the browser. You can use. It's an optional. It's an optional, right? So you can see here. If I writing the HTML, it's my first web app. And if you see here, this is my title. When you see here, my first web app, I can just give me a 1 second. Let me show you. My first web app. And this is all the headers are coming. So basically, if you all of you, if you basically talk about, if you talk about the doc type, I can say, let's say I'm talking about this element, DOCTYPE, HTML. What this stands for? What this stands for? What do you understand by this? DocType HTML. What do you understand by this? It's an HTML5 document. It's a declaration of HTML5 document type. It's in document type, right? So it's in declaration. I can say it's in declaration. It's a declaration. It's in declaration defines that this document is an HTML5 document. It's an HTML5 document. HTML5 document. It's an HTML5 document. Understand everyone? So doc type HTML declaration defines that this document is an HTML5 document. And if you talk about HTML, all of you, if you talk about HTML basically stands, or you can say it's an HTML element. If you talk about HTML element, it's a root element of an HTML page. It's a root element of an HTML page. If an HTML element is the root element, you can say it's a root element. It's the first element. It's a first element. It's a root element of an HTML page. Of an HTML page. If you talk about header, header contains the metadata information. If you talk about head basically contains metadata information. What is metadata? It's a data about data. It's a data about data. If you talk about any data, it is talking about data. So basically header, if you talk about head element, if you basically talk about head element, head basically it's an element contains meta information about the HTML page, about the HTML page, about the HTML page. Understand? So metadata, you can say what exactly the metadata is. So let's say if you talk about Angular, in Angular we have calling the selector. Selector is also in metadata. Selector is also in call in metadata. It's about it describes your data. It describes your data, what the data structure is, what is there, what is inside in the data, what type of data it is, right? And if we talk about body basically elements, it's an original content. You can say yes, Abhi, it is correct. It's an original content, right? And if you talk about body, if you basically talk about all of you body, I can say body element defines the document body, defines the document body, defines the document body, and is a container of all the visible content, and it is the container of all visible content, of all visible content. All of you, let me ask you one thing. Can anyone tell me, what is DOM? What is DOM? If you understand DOM, na, the HTML you can understand in a single seconds. It's in full form, yeah. It's in full form. Document object model. It's in full form. That's correct. It's in document object model. But what is DOM? What exactly is DOM is? I know it's document object management. User to select HTML elements. No, no. It's basically HTML code. No, you can say. Saurabh, you can say it's basically like an HTML DOM. It's a document object model, if I will describe what exactly the DOM is, it defined the way. It's a set of instructions. It's a set of API. You can say it's an interface. It's a set of APIs, set of instructions. That is called DOM. It's a tree-based structure. It's a tree-based structure. So if you basically talk about here, let's say this is your HTML. Let's say this is your HTML. I'm writing with the mouse. I'm just showing you. And HTML is having two parts. First part is your head part, and another part is your body part. Another part is your body part. In the head part, you have the title part. You have the title, and in the body, you're basically having the P1 tag, P2 tag, P3 tag. Then we have the H1 tag. Under the H1 tag, we have another tags. It is making a tree-based structure. It is making a tree-based structure. All of you, it is making a tree-based structure. And you know what algorithm it is being showed here. What algorithm it is being used. If I talk about the data structure, what algorithm it is being used in this tree-based structure? Binary tree. Very good, Ajay. It's in binary tree. Internally, it uses the binary tree. Internally, it is uses the binary tree. Right. Internally, it is using the binary tree. So basically, how it is structured. So when the node is coming, half of the node is traverse here, and half of the node is traverse like here. And whatever the node you are in, it will search according to that. That is the reason. That is the reason. It is very fast. It's a tree-based structure. It uses the binary tree. Internally, it uses the binary tree. Internally, it uses the binary tree. Understand? It uses the binary tree internally. So that is the reason, all of you, that is the reason I told you, if you learn document object model, I can say it is a set of instruction. It is a set of instructions. Set of instructions. It is a set of API. Set of API. Now let me ask you one question. Can you tell me what is API? What do you understand by API? What do you understand by API? API stands for Application Programming Interface. API stands for Application Programming Interface. It is making an endpoint. API is set to make an endpoint. It's an interface. It's a set of instructions. Whether you are using the Excel document, whether you are using the Word document, whether you are using the HTML document. HTML document is a more complex document. That is the reason I'm talking about the HTML document. HTML document is a more, you can say, it's a more complex structure, and it is making a tree-based structure, and it makes a DOM. And when you see this, when you basically see here, and when you do the right click inspect, when you inspect it, I will show you the DOM. Go to the elements. Go to the elements, and all of you see this. This is called DOM, and DOM is rendered to the browser. DOM is rendered to the browser. This is called DOM. This is called DOM. And this DOM is rendering to the browser. So Abhi, I'm just showing you. Here you can see in the elements body H1, this is heading H1, this is heading S2, this is heading S3. I just mark you this one, right? So basically this is called DOM. This is basically called DOM. When you click, I will tell you again. You click, inspect, inspect the elements. After inspect, go to the elements, and you can see the DOM. It's in DOM is in tree-based structure. DOM is in tree-based structure. It's in tree-based structure. It's in tree-based structure. Right? Now we'll do some practice of the this elements so that you can able to understand. You can able to understand. Right? And whenever we given H1 tag, this is called a tags. This is called a tags, right? So you can basically use Notepad, you can use Notepad++, you can use Visual Studio Code. So I can suggest to you, if you want to do the practice, if you want to do the practice, always use Visual Studio Code. Visual Studio Code is an free one. It's an open source and it's an easy to use. And I'm the industry from last 17 years. So you can say, I can see that industry is going to use whether you're learning Java, whether you're learning .NET, whether you're learning Angular, they all are using Visual Studio Code. They all are using the Visual Studio Code, right? So I told you regarding this tags. Now I will basically tell you what 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 are HTML attributes. What are HTML attributes? If we talk about HTML attributes now, if we talk about HTML attributes, so if we talk about HTML attributes, so basically all HTML elements can have attributes. Attributes provide some additional information. Horizontal tag HR, some tags. So it's an W3 standard. Why some tags we are not close them? It's an W3 standards. Like BR, we can't close them. We directly stored BR close, BR slash, HR slash, horizontal. It's an because of the W3 standards. And if you talk about HTML attributes, all HTML elements can have attributes. Attribute provides additional information about elements and always starts a start tag. Always starts a start tag. Let's say A tag, anchor tag, IMG tag. A tag is having the href. IMG tag is having the src. Right? So if you talk about all HTML elements can have attributes, and attributes, if you talk about attributes, provide additional information. Attribute provides some additional information about the elements, about elements. And if you talk about what type of information they provide, which I just told you, elements are specified in the start tag. Elements so basically if we talk about elements, right? So attribute provide additional information about elements, and attributes are always specified with the start tag, right? If we talk about attributes, are always specified in the start tag, and it comes, or I can say it comes as in key value pair. When you basically play with the JSON data, when you play with the JSON data, JSON, JavaScript object notation, then you can see how JavaScript and HTML has given the contribution role to the industry, right? So the example of HTML attributes, let's say I told you a tag, I told you img tag, right? You can show the image, you can see that. Let me show you the example. Let's say, let's say I'm creating the anchor tag a tag href equal to www.google.com, right? And here you can write click Google, right? Now go just save your document, go to the HTML, click here, and you can see it will not work. It will show the browser, it will show the URL like the DTC training www.google.com, right? So might be I've given the spelling wrong, even though it will not open the site, even though it will not open the site. Can anyone tell me the reason why? Why it does not open the site? We have to use HTTP, right? We have to use this HTTP colon HTTP colon double slash. We have to get the full path. We have to give the full path. And if we now go here, save the file, see this. It is opening the Google. But I want to open in different tab. I want to open in different tab. I can use, can anyone tell if I want to open in different tab? HTTPS underscore blank. Yes, very good. HTTPS is a secure site. And HTTP, if you want, if you're using the certificate, if you're using the certificate, then you can use HTTPS. And if you don't use the certificates, always use HTTP. So the property here you can use target equal to underscore blank, right? Now if you open, if you go here, you can see I haven't saved it. Just give me a second. See this. See this. It is opening a different tab. Understand? And if I now again, so I can write here in the B tag, I can write here, it's an A tag. I just write anchor tag. A stands for anchor tag, right? And here I will just write in this heading tags, and this is called anchor tag. If you save this, now just I want to run it. See this anchor tag. Now I just want, you can see this anchor tag and click Google is coming into the same line, right? So heading tag is there, but anchor tag is coming into the same line. What I will do? Anyone, can anyone tell? Use BR. Yes, very good. We have to use the BR. So I will use here BR tag. BR means break the line. br slash. Br means break the line. And if you run this, you can see, and if you Google it, you can able to see this. BR means it's in break the line, break line. HR means horizontal tag. And if you want to make italic, if you want to make italic, just use I, right? Just use I and put anchor tag like this inside this. And now save it. Try to run this. You can see this anchor tag. We have also called strong tag. If you talk about strong, bold, header, would be the same thing for me, right? Would be the same thing for me. Now I will tell you another tag. Let's say I am just doing the HR. I want to put image, right? So let me create one image folder, or let me put one image, right? I'm just going to the desktop. I'm just taking one image so that I can show you. I just copy this image and paste it here. So if I just will go to this folder and put my image here, right? You can see this, and I'm using img src tag. Src equal to, I just want to define image. Let's see if it shows the image. See this. So now this image is like very large. So what I will do, I will give the height width is 400 pixels. 400 pixels. You guys are too smart. It's very good. Very good. I really appreciate your efforts. And 200 pixels. Very good. This is a learning curve within height pixels. PX, right? PX. So if you save this and if you run again, you can see this. So this is what I've told you: heading tag, anchor tag, and then image tag. Now I told you this image tag. Let me copy this. After this one, let me tell you this is the image tag. Correct? Save this, Control S, and go here and just save it. Image tag. Understand? Then all of you, if you understand this, we have basically, if you want to use any image tag, we have used the anchor tag, we have used the heading tags. Now I can tell you the paragraph tags. What do you understand by paragraph? P tag. What do you understand by P tag? Let me copy this and paste it here. Paste it here. And here I can use paragraph tag. So paragraph tag starts on a new line, and browser automatically adds some white space before and after a paragraph. Right? So let me add some text so that you can able to understand what text I have. Let's say I have this text, right? So I'm just putting in the paragraph tag, P tag, I'm putting this text and sort all the data structure. Collections have advantage over the array, and this collection is disadvantage. And I'm just using another paragraph. I'm using one more paragraph. P tag I'm using another P tag so that you can able to understand. See this, I can copy this tag text and just paste it here. And if you do the formatting, all of you control A, right click, control A, right click, format document. You can able to format your page. Now if you run here, you can see this. See this. P1 is more pretty than P3. Represents a paragraph. I'm not able to understand, Gaurav. P1 is more pretty than P3, right? So we can discuss this question at the last. To insert our paragraph, whatever that. And here, if you want to make C# collections, I want C# collections to be bold in letter. So what I will do, I can basically use the strong tag. Very good, very good. I can making the use of strong tag. I can make basically use of strong tag. So I can here use strong, and I can make C# collection like this. Control Z, just wait here. Bold tag we also use, B tag also, bold tag also use, right? We are already using, Rakshay, we are already using the B tag. That is the reason I've not used the bold tag. I just want to show you the strong tag also, right? That is the reason I just showed you. You can see this. If you run it, you can see this. We are already using this bold tag and just want to show you the strong tag, correct? There's nothing been difference. There's nothing been any difference between the bold tag and the strong tag. You can either use strong or you can use either bold. It's an only the notations are there. We don't have any difference between this, right? So basically, what we have learned, what exactly the paragraph tag is. Paragraph basically stands for P stands for paragraph tag, and it is used to display the elements. It is used to display the elements in what format you have this. Now the very important thing I can talk about. I can talk about the tables. Table is one of the most important. Table is one of the most important things if you want to learn, whether you can learn Angular, whether you can learn Java, whether you can learn HTML, anything, MVC, ASP.NET, you need some table. You need to learn tables here. And can anyone tell me what is tables? I don't want TR/TD. That's I know that. TR and TD is in table. TR is in table row and TD is in table data. Row and columns. It's in grid. It's an grid of which is storing. It's a collection of row and columns. Very good. Who has given this? It's a combination of collection. Pooja. Very good, Pooja. It's a collection of row and columns. So if you basically say this, let's say this is the table. Understand now. This is a table, and I have one row. Row always means a horizontal. Row always means an horizontal. It's in second row, right? So basically, this is called 3 by 3 matrix. One first row, first column. First row, second column. One row, third column. Second row, first column. Second row, second column. Second row, third column. 3-1. Third row, first column. 3-2 and 3-3. Third row, third column. It's a representation of data. Collection of all of you have given the correct tag. Yes, Rakshay, you can say this. Even you can use with the B tag also. You can use the B tag also. You used to point out the keywords. Even same thing you can you can give with the B tag. This is nothing harm. It's only they have written that they have to put. If you want to use any keywords, then you can use a strong key. Strong key. I can use the H1 tag also. I can use the S2 tag also. I can use the S3 tag also. I can use the bold tag also. There's nothing mean difference, right? So basically, if you talk about table, table is table is an table is a combination of row and columns. Table is in combination of row and columns. Table is in combination of row and columns, right? If you talk about row, this is first row, second row, third row. This is this horizontal vertical would be the columns. First column, second column, third column. Understand? Now how to work? How to work with the columns? How to basically work with? Now let me show you. Let me show you this. Again, my format, I'm doing the same format. I will share the code after the session. So here I can say table, creation of the table, creation of the tables. So basically, what do you need to use? You can use table. In the table, you can use tr. Tr is having the th. Th means table header. Th means table header. And I'm using three table header. Let's say emp id, emp name, emp cell, emp address, and emp salary, and emp salary. And if you talk about again, so it basically creates one row and how many columns? Four columns. Table employee ID, employee name, employee address, and the employee salary. Now, if you create another table, it creates another row. It creates another row. Now I'm using the TD. TD basically use table data. Let's say 101. I can take the name Ajay, which I'm showing in my screen. Who can put, if you want put your name, then you can just message me so that it comes your name also. So I don't know Ajay where lives in, so I just put the Noida, right? And employee salary, let's say, if I talk about the salary, let's say 30,000. Again, I'm just copying this. I'm taking the Navneet 102, and name is Navneet, and I take in Pune and make us 50,000. Again, I'm taking one row. I'm taking the name Amar, right? AMAR, Amar. I'm taking 103 name. Let's say 103, and it's an, I can put it Lucknow and make it 40,000. Copy this data. I'm just putting the last name. That's Mahesh. So basically, Mahesh is from, let's say, Bangalore, and is earning 70,000. So if you basically write now, if you basically write now the table, it doesn't looks good. It doesn't looks good format. If you show this, it doesn't look good format. Let me show you. See this. I want in border also. I want in border also. How I can put in border? Here I can use. Oh, I'm sorry. What happens? Here I can use border equal to 1. If I will put the border, It will show me the border also. See this, one or two, whatever. Very good, Krish. Hardeep, very good. So basically, here you can able to see the table. What we have learned, we learned about the header, we learned about the anchor tag, we learned about the paragraph tag, we learned about the tables. After learning the table, I want to put styles. I want to put styles, something styles on the header. How I can put that styles? Let's say I want to put, yes, I want to put the style attribute. So in the tr, I just put the style equal to background color, background color. Let's say I like yellow something. Background color colon yellow or yellow green, something like that. See this inline CSS attribute. Yes, you guys are champion, yeah. You guys are champions. I can say this. Okay, kindly tell about the call span and row span. Very good, Archana. I will tell. Now let's say I want make an one. Let's say I will not putting the styles. I will not putting the style. Right. I will put the style later on. Let me take this request, call span and this one. So I'm taking tr. I'm taking one tr and taking the th. I'm taking the one th and putting the employee details. Employee details. What happens, Achana? You know what happens? How it makes when it makes a column, na? When it makes a column, let's say we have three, we have one, two, three, four, right? Employee details will give here on this particular here in this shell, right? Let me show you. Let me show you. See this employee details and this one. That is the reason. That is the reason I want an call span. I want to merge all the columns. I want to merge all the columns. How many columns we have? One, two, three, four. And I can put th call span equal to 4. So you can see if I will put 4, you see this. This is called call span. And in a similar way, if you want to put in row span for the rows, you can put, if you want to migrate into one row, you can use a row span for merging. Merge, yes, right. So that is basically call span. Now I want the styles here. I want a style here. So in this tr, I can basically use the style colon background color. Let's say I want to yellow. So I go here and refresh my screen. I just put the yellow color. And if I want something other color, I just copy this, coming here, tr. What is the problem I done? Always copy and paste makes a problem to you. Yellow green. I just make an yellow green. And see this, guys. See this. You can make an interactive color, right? So in this way, you can give your styles. You can give your styles. And if you want, I told you, HTML element B stands for bold tag. Strong. If you talk about important something text, or keyword some to be text, then you can use strong. I stands for italic. Small tag is there, right? Which is basically making your small tag, right? So this all the tags have their own identifications. And if you want to comments, if you want to comment anything, let's say, if you want to comment anything, I'm just writing, I'm just writing the, this is table, something like this is table. So I will select Control KC. Control KC is for the comment. Control plus K and then C. Control KC is for the comments, right? Control KC is for the comments. If you want to put, if you want to put any color, any text, any color, then you can put. Let's say I told you in this paragraph tag, I just want to uh, put this color, right? P, the style, then I can put the color, something like aqua. Aqua doesn't show, it's very light, it's very light. Because it is not able to see. If I want to make brown, brown something like good color, you can able to see that. See this. So that is the stylings, colors. You can perform, you can perform, and you can make your border also. Let's talk about the border. Let's talk about the border, right? Let's say if I want, I just say again this one. Now let's take the border tag, right? Let me copy, let me copy this and tell you about this. So basically, if we talk about the border tag, so here I'm basically using, I'm basically using border tag, right? So if we talk about the border, let's say I'm taking the H1 tag, hi, I'm Saurabh, I'm Saurabh Agarwal, something like that, right? I stands for italic, I stands for italic. Now in this H1 tag, I can make style border equal to, I can say border 5px solid red. So solid means it will basically showing the solid color, and it will basically you can able to understand what structure it has been there. You can see this border 5px solid this. Hi, I'm Saurabh Agarwal. Okay, so that you can say, you can give the color combinations like that is an RB this basically what you can say, I'm not remembering that, RGB color, right? RGB color combination you can give, and it is basically you can have a very good practice for that, right? So hyperlink I've told you, right? Hyperlink with different colors. Now let me tell you the some styles so that you can able to understand what how you can basically make the styling, right? So that you can able to, you can book, you can create create some more stylings. So another thing which I need to tell you, that is called order list and the unordered list, right? That is called order list and unordered list. Order list, and second I can say tell you about the unordered list. So can you tell me, if I will use order list, what it will print me? What it will print? If I will use the order list, what it will print? It will print 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? Number. Yes. Right. Very good. It shows the number. So here I will use OL. Then I'm using the LI tag. Let's say I'm using the MVC. I'm using the Java. I'm using C Sharp. I'm using Angular. Right? Database SQL Server or HTML programming. Right? If you see this, if you see here, you can able to understand order list. MVC, Java, C Sharp, Angular, SQL Server, HTML. And if you want, go for the unordered list. I can copy this. That shows the bulletin. Very good. That basically shows in the bullet. That is called UL tag. And here you can use UL tag. And here I can say something. I will take the names. Krish. Right. I take the names. Vivek. Who wants the name, then they can pin me. Who want to print their name, they can print me hi, something like that. Ajay. अरे बस बस. Sachin, Rahul, Sachin. I'm sorry if I will left some of the names. Gaurav, Rahul, and one is Navneet. Navneet, I've already taken your name. So this time, Pooja, I can take. I can take two, three names or so. I will not put the list of all the names. So I can take. अरे बस करो हो गया. Abhishek, let me take Abhishek, Vikas. That's it, yeah. Otherwise, I can write only the names. I can only write the names, nothing else. So you can see, guys. Here you can able to see the names with the bulletin number. We can use outside the HTML. You can put the inside the HTML also, yeah. Right. So this is basically called an order list and the unordered list. Now I will basically tell you some of the way. Basically, I will cover this thing. So I will basically cover this selectors and this that is called your selectors and class in the jQuery, right? So basically, I will cover this on this so that you can able to understand more things. I will be shortly starting your starting your JavaScript so that you can able to do. So if you do the practice, it will be very good for you guys. If you don't do the practice, then it is wasted of the time, right? So there's no benefit at all, right? So even in this, I can just create whatever are the code I'm writing. I will share the code with the Somesh. So right, Som Prakash, then you can take the code from him. In this here, I can define the form. I can define the form, and I can define input type equal to text, right? And in this text, I can take the value something. I can take the value something like Amresh, right? So if you see this, here it is showing the text box. So let me make my format so that it will be able to understand by you. So I'm using the form text. I'm using the form text. So whatever the requirements, whatever the HTML we need for our Angular, for our Java, for our .NET, I have covered each and everything, right? So if you want to make a submit button, input, make your type is equal to submit, make your type is equal to button, whatever you want, and define value is equal to submit. See this, like this. If you, okay, can you tell me, anyone tell me, what is the difference between submit and button? Button type submit and button type button. Button type button and submit. What is the difference between submit and button? Button type button and submit means submit. Button type submit. Submit needs an action. Okay. Very good, man. Very good. Button sends a data to the server. Very good. So basically, if you talk about button, submit, submit sends a request to the server. And if you talk about button, if you want to perform any action on button, then you can use it. Correct? So basically, what we basically covered this. What are the headings? What are the headings in this? What exactly the paragraph tag? We have the division also, division tag, div tag, which is very, very important. Div is basically your division tag. Div is your division tag, right? Div is your division tag. I can do this in JavaScript, Akib. If you take an input from the number, na, then I will do from the JavaScript, right? When we do the JavaScript, we'll do all the performs, so we can perform the operations, right? Here only I'm just showing you the buttons and all. That's it, right? If you want to perform something, we can perform from the JavaScript. Kindly resolve my query, sir. What is your query? Tell me. Span also. So Shant, what is your query? Div is your division. Let me take, you can write your query so that I can able to understand. Okay. Jitin, tell the difference between submit and button and submit again. Now, let me talk about again. Let's say this is your submit button. This is your submit button, right? This is your submit button. And this is your button type. Let's say I'm performing button and whose value is click, right? When you perform the submit, it will hit to the database. I can say it will hit to the database, and perform the necessary action, whether it's in get request, whether it's in post request, whether it's in put request, or whether it's in uh, delete request. When you hit to the submit, it will hit to the database. It will hit to the database. And when you perform a click, it will perform some operations. It will perform some operations, right? Submit means it happens to your database. It happens to the database, whether it's in get request, post request, put request, or delete request. Whatever the operations, whatever the your current operations you are performing, it is performing on the submit. It is hitting to the server. It is hitting to a database. And if you talk about click event, it is performing some action. If you want to perform the number of calculation of two numbers, addition of two numbers, subtraction of two numbers, division of two numbers, and all. Understand? What is markup language? Already we have given. I have already given the explanation on the markup language. Right? Markup language is your. This is whenever you are giving the tag. This is called tags. Angular. This is called an angular brackets. This is called an angular bracket where you are giving the tags. Tags is called your markup language. Tags is called your markup language. Right? What is the difference between DOM and HTML? So I told you, if you talk about HTML, HTML basically stands for hypertext transfer, hypertext markup language, which is a series of elements, which you have a elements, so you can perform some uh, operations. You have some tags, and you can able to show to the web page. DOM is basically a document object model. You can say it's an Excel document, it's an Word document. If you basically talk about complex document, I can talk about the this HTML document, which is very complex, DOM is a set of instructions, set of APIs, and which is performing the task. Understand? Why am what is done? Why UL and I are outside? Oh, by mistaken. Let me correct out. By mistaken, I've done this. This is not done intentionally, right? Let me remove this erasers and let me go to the normal pen, and I just copied it last and put it at last. By mistaken, I've done this, right? So Vikas, me make a professional language, haha, hi, it's not in professional language, right? So make here, we are here to learn the things to get into a professional language, right? Because so what is label in HTML? So basically if you talk about label, then why it is showing error? Where? Pooja, where it is showing error? No, it is not showing any error, because HTML this is very smart. HTML is very smart. It understands. If you don't write the HTML, na, it is also works it. It also work outside it. It also work outside it apart from the HTML. So HTML is very smart to understand the tags. I told you that is the reason. You work on Angular, you work on MVC, you work on anything. You can able to work. You can able to work it out. Okay. So someone has asked me the label. Label is basically label is where basically you can say is to perform the text, whatever you can. Let's say you are making a form. You are making a form, right? Let's say you are making a form. You want to perform the operation of two numbers. So here Here you can say, label, then you have a text box. This is your label, let's say first number, second number, and this is two text boxes, and this is your submit button. What Saurabh said, our tag class or their work internally block elements between inline. I'm not getting difference between inline and block elements. Okay, yeah, Saurabh, if we basically talk about the inline and block elements are this. Block is specifically block of code, right? Block means, let's say I'm putting the division tag, and under that division tag I'm putting something. I'm putting something into a division tag. Division means if we talk about my division tag, division tag means it is it's a division, right? So if you want to perform any block, so it will be performed under this block. And inline code, let's say if we talk about the ASP.NET programming, inline means you are writing in a single line of query. And block means it particular, let's say function. Let's say function. If I would talk about function, what is function? Function is a block of code that execute the statements. So if you want to perform any block, then you can use you can use any, you can use a block. Otherwise, you can use this one. What is actually meaning of tag, sir? Okay. So Vinod, if we talk about tags means in Angular, let's say we are learning the HTML. I can give an example of Angular. So do one thing. I can take these queries at the end of the session, right? So that other people are can not get confused, right? Otherwise, lots of people get confused what I'm teaching, and I need to complete this one, right? So 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 let me complete this. Then I just come into your queries, and then we complete the HTML, and then we'll start with the JavaScript. And JavaScript is very important topic. All of you remember that, so that you can able to understand and you can able to work it out on a JavaScript. So let me complete this one now. So if you talk about division tag, I'm just copying this something tag to something. Let's say copy this. Right, I'm just putting here. It can, this one element, it is found in this one. You can see. So this is called division tag. I make them this one. Class is used to store fetch an element. Division means one division. It makes a division, right? So let me put it here. Div stands for division tag, right? So basically we have covered paragraph tag. We covered about tables, order list, unordered list, forms, H1 tags, right? We covered each and everything, right? Only you have to do the practice so that you can able to understand the things, correct? So now I just want to start with the JavaScript. I just want to give the brief introduction of the JavaScript so that you can able to understand, right? Because all this all these concepts, whatever we learn today, we want to use into the JavaScript, right? We have to use into JavaScript. So if we talk about JavaScript, if we basically talk about the JavaScript, I can say I can say JavaScript is one of the most popular lightweight interpreted compiled programming language, and it is used to create dynamic web pages. Very good, Ajay. It is an it is known as scripting language for web pages. It is a scripting language for web pages. JavaScript can be used for client side and the server side. If we talk about JavaScript, it's a brain of web pages. Very good, man. It's a brain of web pages. I can say this. So what is JavaScript? JavaScript is one of the most popular. JavaScript is one of the most popular lightweight interpreted compiled programming language. Scripting means scripting basically here, if we talk about scripting language, you have to write the programming. Deepak, you have to write the programming. You have to write the scripts for the JavaScript. Let's say, let me ask you one question. Who created a JavaScript? First of all, when you learn any language, you should know who and why, who created it, and what is the purpose of that. Who created a JavaScript? Can anyone tell me? Sun Microsystem. Very good, Deepak. Netscape Navigator. Netscape Navigator. Netscape Navigator is the person, you can say, who developed the JavaScript. Before before getting to the JavaScript name was, you know what is the name of the JavaScript before? Before JavaScript, what is the name of the JavaScript before? Anyone wants to give this answer? LiveScript. Very good, Sushant. That is called LiveScript. It's a not a it's a LiveScript. LIVE LiveScript. Right? It's a LiveScript. So basically, Netscape Navigator is the person. Netscape Navigator is the browser who basically came up. So Tanish. So basically, I covered in the very beginning. Where don't worry, I know. I'm just asking the question so that you can able to understand. I covered like HTML and very basic CSS. I will tell you. Don't worry about the CSS, right? What we have covered till now, I've covered only the HTML, starting from the very basic, right? If we basically talk about JavaScript, I'm just giving you hands-on the JavaScript. Then I will take the questions. Then we continue tomorrow, right? If we talk about the JavaScript is basically is one of the most popular lightweighted lightweighted interpreted compiled programming languages, right? Vinod, I told you HTML today, na? I told you HTML today. So you have to do the practice. And CSS is not related to the JavaScript, right? CSS is not related to the JavaScript. I told you HTML, you have to do the practice, correct? So basically, I need to tell the CSS, don't worry about that part, right? So, correct? Yes. So now CSS is basically used to beautify the web pages, right? So basically, now let me give you only the 5 minutes on the JavaScript, then we can take the queries so that you guys are not. So I will take this JavaScript queries later on. First of all, let me take your queries for 10-15 minutes. Now, who are not able to understand the HTML, they can tell me whatever I told, like heading tag, paragraph tag, anchor tag, image tag. Then we have the CS. I told about something related to a CSS. I told you something about the border tag, order list, unorder list, form tag. It's clear to everyone. Any questions on the HTML you can ask me. What is the difference between method? Now again, so Dipanshu, I told you. No, I understand. Students are asking different question. What is anchor tag? Anchor tag is a tag. Please asking only those questions which is related to the what the topic is going. Don't ask that questions which is not related to this topics. Otherwise, there all other students are there. They are also get confused. It's a request from everyone, right? Can we use hover in the table? Yes, we can do. You can do by using this. You can by using the JavaScript. If you got us again, I haven't told the hover on the table. We can do the hover on the table by using the JavaScript. By using the JavaScript, right? I'm talking about again some Rakshay. There's some tags which you have to identify or mark you tag, right? There's some more tags which is not able to cover in which is not able to cover in all the trainings, right? So some tags you have to work out. Now again, mouse over tag, mouse over. This is the related to a JavaScript. This is related to a JavaScript. Now this is not a related. This is an unrelated question. Can we use multiple submit in a single forms? We can have we can use multiple submit. You have to use different buttons for making the submit buttons. So basically if you talk about the padding and the margin, right? So basically you can use in the tables. Anyway, you can use. Let me give you example on this padding. So let me start with the JavaScript, and I've just started the session, and students are putting lots of questions. If we talk about the JavaScript, it's one of the most popular lightweight interpreted compiled programming language. It's a JavaScript. It's a lightweight. It is developed by the Netscape Navigator, and interpreted compiled programming language means it is basically compiling line by line. It is compiling line by line. Interpreter means line by line. So if we talk about JavaScript, scripting language, JavaScript is a scripting language which is used for the web pages, and JavaScript can be used for client side and server side development both, right? So basically, JavaScript can be added to your HTML files. Can be added to your HTML files in two ways. First, you can say it's an internal JS. Second, it's an external JS. If we talk about internal JS, we can add JavaScript directly to our we can add JavaScript directly to our HTML file by writing code inside the JavaScript by using the JavaScript tag. You can see a script tag, right? And outside the HTML means you can put your JavaScript files inside the folder, make one folder, and then you can use it. So if we talk about the syntax of the JavaScript, if we talk about the syntax of the JavaScript, we can write JavaScript. We can basically write the JavaScript and here you can write some JavaScript code and just click on the this one. So if you understand the HTML, then JavaScript would be very easy. In this, we are using the programming language also. We will do the if conditions. We'll do something about if condition. Then you can say while loop, do while, for loop. We'll do each and everything in this JavaScript, right? So basically, again, I'm telling you, JavaScript. It's an client based and server side programming development programming language. It's a compile based interpreted programming language. You can interpret by line, and JavaScript can be added to your HTML in two ways. It's an internal JS and the external JS. Internal JS means we can add JavaScript directly to our HTML file in the header you can add the script tag, or in the body you can add the script tag. External means you can write JavaScript code in some other extension in the .js extension. JavaScript extension is .js. JavaScript extension is .js, right? So basically, if we talk about syntax of the JS, we will write any JavaScript code and then we can define it. JavaScript is used for validations also. Let's say all of you, if you are using the MVC, if you are using the MVC, whether in the .NET, whether in Java, so if you are using the .NET, if you want to use server-side programming, so JavaScript can be used as in client-side validation, as in client-side validations. So if you want to perform any validations, then also you can perform the JavaScript. If you want to do programming language, if you don't want to do the post back, then you can use the JavaScript. If you don't need any post back, then you can use JavaScript.